Okay there, singing world. This video will offer Italian pronunciation help for the aria Amarilli mia bella by Caccini from the 24 Italian arias. We will explore the tips and tricks to help you sing your aria without accent and also discuss the proper open and closed vowels and other non-phonetic things such as phrasal doubling and assimilation. Before we do that, please direct your attention to the description of the video below. You'll find the entire text written out with all those non-phonetic things, the open vowels, the phrasal doubling, and the assimilation. And also various links to my website, my Facebook fan page. Please give me a like if you have a moment. Also, there's a link to the pronunciation dictionary on the RAI site. This is especially important for singers. You can go to this site, type in any word, and hear it pronounced with a playback button by native Italian speakers. Also, it will show you the open and closed E's and O's, and what I love about it the most is it acknowledges the existence of non-phonetic Italian, such as phrasal doubling and assimilation. You'll see entire lines of text written out with the playback button, and you can hear all of these things in action. I highly recommend it. So what we will do first is we'll go through the entire text. I'll read the whole thing first, and then we'll do an analysis word by word, all the tips and tricks to get rid of your accent, and a lot of the common mistakes I hear in auditions and in performance. So here we go. This is the whole text first. Amarilli mia bella, non credi o del mio cor, dolce desio, d'esser tu l'amor mio. Credilo pur, e se timor t'assale, Dubitar non ti vale. The alternate lyrics also in some versions would be Prɛndi questo mio strale in place of Dubitar non ti vale. Aprimi il petto e vedrai scritto il cɔre. Amarilli è il mio amore. Okay, so let's break it down one word at a time. So the first word, the proper name Amarilli, has a double L. That's the most striking thing about this word, right? So how do we do double L versus single L? Well, to do double L, we hold our L with the tip of our tongue on the roof of our mouths, and we make sure our vocal cords are engaged like this. So to make double L, Amarilli, right? So Amarilli versus Amarilli, single L, where I don't allow my tongue to stay, right? So Amarilli. So the other thing in Italian is that vowels, when you have two in a row, they remain they do not harmonize to anything, right? So the vowels in this word would be e, e. No harmonization to anything, right? So as non-Italian speakers, we would tend to make the second right? Amarilli, right? So now versus the double L, we have a single M, right? So single M and double L are the same thing. To make single M versus double M and double L versus single L, the same thing. Whether we hold them in phonation or not makes it single M or double M or single L and double L. So I will demonstrate. So if I did Amarilli, I would have both a double M and a double L in this word. Then that's incorrect. The double M is incorrect. That this double L is correct, right? How do I make double M versus single M? So if I did Amarilli and I don't let the M go Amarilli. See, now the M is wrong because I've held it. So as long as I hold that M in phonation while my vocal cords are engaged, that's double M. Amarilli. See, I didn't allow my lips to stay together for just a second on that. So that's the difference between single M and double M, single L and double L. Okay. The other thing is we have a single R. So when R is surrounded by vowels in Italian, it flips. When it touches a consonant, it rolls. So if you look in the next line, non credi, it rolls like that. But in Amarilli, it does not. It's not Amarilli. No, that doesn't roll, right? The reason is it's surrounded by vowels. So it's a flipped R. And I had somebody just the other day in a coaching ask me how to do flipped R, and we did my D trick. So if you were to say Amadilli, right? Amadilli. Now, if you notice, to make the D, you're just using a flat part of the tip of your tongue. Amadilli. So if you just switch that to the tip, Amarilli, now you have your flipped R. So that's how you do it. The next word, mia. A lot of times you'll see mia on one note, but you have to sing two notes. So the first E is very strong and it's long. Mia. And notice that the ah does not harmonize, it stays ah. Next word, here we have another double L, bɛlla. And we have a non-phonetic E. So this is an open E, and I've notated that with the rounded edges E from IPA. That means as in head. That's the vowel. So E can make two sounds in Italian. It either is A as in hey or as in head. And again, it does not harmonize in Italian. What I mean by that, in English, if we say head, we slowly go to an I vowel. If I say hey, I slowly I close my jaw to an E vowel. In Italian, I would say hey and head, right? It would just be pure. So, bɛlla. So notice that the L stays in phonation and the A does not harmonize also at the end. Okay, going on. N-O-N is non, right? So O can make two different sounds. It can either make a closed sound, which is like oats, or an open sound like AW, like I saw, aw. And again, those are without the motion of the jaw that we have in English, or the glide sound, right? So oats, we'd go to an I, and saw, we would move our jaw a lot. So in this non, it stays. Okay, so non is a closed O. We have an open O coming up in this line, so when we get to it, we'll do it there. So here we have a closed E, credi, so A, right? Credi. Now notice that the R rolls. The R is touching the C, which makes a hard case sound, right? Credi. So now let's talk about hard consonants in Italian. So consonants all come in pairs. There's a voiced version of every consonant and an unvoiced consonant. So if I take K and G, right? So if I go ka, that's the unvoiced version. Ga is the voiced version. Why is it voiced? Because when I make a G, I have vocal cords involved, right? So ga, see, ga, it's my vocal cords are engaged. But ka, my vocal cords release. They don't, and it's just air. Okay, so if you look at the K in credi, it's almost like saying gredi, but it's as unvoiced as just the slightest bit away from G to K. As soon as it becomes K, it's the Italian one. And what I mean is to avoid going credi with lots of air as we do in English. We say cornflakes, right? So cornflakes with that lot of air, right? So if you were to say credi, just at the point where it becomes unvoiced, the same thing with D, right? So D and T are the dentals, right? So da, ta. So da is voiced, ta is unvoiced. But even in English, we tend to make D really having air through it, right? So we say dental sometimes, like that, right? So you want to avoid credi. No, credi. D. See, very simple, almost, and very voiced. Okay, going on. O is the is as an invocation, right? In this case, so it's a strong monosyllable. So here we have our first non-phonetic strong monosyllable. And what it does is it causes the D in the next word to double. So strong monosyllable will cause the next word, if it starts with a consonant, to have a double consonant. So how do we execute this? I would say, instead of odel, I would say odel. Odel mio cor. You see? So there's a slight stop. Odel. I exaggerated it. I made the stop big. So how do we do that? To make a double D, do we say two Ds? No, we don't. We do a long O, we stop phonation, O, we go up to the D, and then we don't say it, O, like that, right? I know I look silly, right? So, O, del, and then we execute the double D. It's the space that makes the double D, right? Now, this all goes by very fast, so it's just a slight space. O del mio cor, you see? You don't want to make a big deal. O del, no. O del mio cor. O del mio cor. It's just that little bit of spice in there. Going on. Now, DEL is not like the computer company Dell. It is del, A, right? So it is a closed E. And I must ask you at all times when you're singing or you're executing closed vowels that you do not close your voice down, right? So people noted when Italian singers started to sing and they were singing their closed vowels tended to be stretched into the shouting position. Didn't mean that they were putting the pressure of shouting on their vocal cords, but they were using the stretch. So if you were to say, hey, right, there's your open A vowel. Del, right? Not dale, not all in your head resonance, okay? Not, I mean, like just vibrating in your head, right? So going on, mio. So it's like mia, right? Now here we have an open O in the next word. Cɔre is the full version of the word. It has an E at the end. Cɔre. For the poetry, in this case, the E is taken off. So it's open O. Cor. You'll also see this word in the more modern form, cuore, with a U before it. And a lot of words that have an U before an O open the O. So cɔre, cor. Notice that this R is going to roll because it's touching a D after the word is over, right? So the next word is dolce. So CE is soft. So you have soft vowels and hard vowels in Italian. So CE is che. To make it hard, we would need an H. So if we spelled it CHE, it would be K. Okay? So in a soft vowel, that's what happens. So dolce. Now, let's talk about what happens to the L. Okay, we're going to talk about everything, right? So dolce. You're going to say che up there. The L is actually a double L now, isn't it? Dolce. It sings into the ch sound, right? Dolce. And you actually want to have the pitch that you're singing on that L and hold that L in phonation. Let's go on. Desio. So now here we have an I that is technically a semivowel, but is an accented one, right? Desio. So the O is weaker than the E. Desio. And this is a thing that you just have to memorize with each word. Sometimes it will be IA will just be ya, right? With a very disappearing semivowel. But this one, desio. So notice that the E is closed. And where is the accent of the word? It is on desio, right? Desio. So the accent is on the E. So in Italian words, there's only one accent per word, number one. Number two, the E's and the O's that fall on the non-accented syllables will be always closed. So because the accent in this word is on the E, we know that the E is a closed E. A. Okay. The next is essere. So all the ere conjugation of Italian is closed ending. So, but the first E is on a stress. And the bad news about stresses in Italian is that they can be either open or closed. And we have to memorize them all. So in this word, we're going to memorize that the first syllable that is on the stress, essere, is open. Se. Esser. Okay? So Tu, the word tu is also a strong monosyllable. So notice I've written a double L. So you would say deser tu l'amor mio. See? Tu l'amor mio. So the L rolls. Amore is the word for love, and it is a closed O. Right? So there are two dangers in this word. Number one, you open the O. Number two, you double the M. And I hear a lot of people singing amor or amor, even worse, right? So single M, amor. Now here's a trick. Say you keep getting the note that you're doing double M when it's single M. The way to get rid of it is to do a purity test, number one, for the vowels, and number two, a vibration test, right? So if you were to do ow, very generous vowels, really long vowels, ow. Now when you put the single M in, it should feel exactly the same. So one more time, do ow, right? Now you feel that. Now amor should feel exactly the same. If you do a double M, it'll feel different because it'll be now your vowels have stopped, you see? Amor. Your M does not stop any of those vowels. So that's how you get single M, single N, single L if you want to get rid of a double that you don't want in there. Okay, mio we've had. Credilo. Okay, credilo. So this is a closed D. This is a closed O. We already know the rule for rolled R, and we have a single L, right? So the mistake is Credilo or Credilo. I make a double D, right? Neither one of those are what you want. Credilo, all singles. Pur. And now if you stop after pur, if you take a breath after pur, this R will roll. If you don't take a breath after pur, this R would flip because it is now surrounded by vowels. So here's another rule about R. Final R will roll if there's silence after it. Final R will flip if it's preceded by a vowel and it's surrounded by vowels, right? So again, it'll flip. Okay, the word A is the word for and, not to be confused with the word open, which is and it has an accent. Both are spelled with single E. Both of them are strong monosyllables. Now, if you're wondering about how to know when a strong monosyllable or a weak monosyllable, I actually have a video and there's a link in the description below, so check that out also. I go through a list. It was done in a book, Singer's Italian, by Evelina Colorni. Evelina Colorni was the coach at Juilliard, and she wrote a book with listing all of the strong monosyllables and all the weak monosyllables, and actually all the strong and weak words. So you can check out my video on that topic where I have that entire list, and I go through them all and the pronunciation of them and explanations on when they are and how to distinguish them, especially with meaning. So here we have e se timor tassale. So also you've noticed I've written out this line twice because a is a strong monosyllable and se is a strong monosyllable, right? So in the first way, I've picked the S to be doubled. So the A doubles the S. Well, se also could double the T, right? So if I were speaking, now here's a big difference between lyric Italian and spoken Italian, is that I can say in speech e se timor tassale. I can double both. In singing, it's a little clumsy. So we want to pick one or the other. So you can either sing e se timor tassale, or you could say e se timor tassale, as long as you're elegant with both. Okay, does that make sense? So you can choose one or the other. I would pick the T. I think it's a little easier to do. It's a little easier to be elegant with it. Okay, so we know that se is closed. Timor is a closed O. Timore, single R. And notice that I'm rolling the R at the end because it's touching a T. Tassale. Now, here's another thing about sung S versus spoken S. So when we speak, we can hiss this S. Tassale, like that, right? Now, when we sing, This is a 3-syllable word, so we'll have 3 notes for it. The first note has to be all ah, no s. So it's not like speech. Remember, when we spoke, we went ta sale. When we sing, we can't sing tas. We have to sing ta sale. Ta sale. If you want to get the double S in, right? So ta sale. Single L. Okay, so that's the difference. We just separate them. And we put all of the S on the second syllable. Dubitar. Okay, again, we're rolling the R at the end because it's final and it's touching a consonant. Dubitar. Notice there are no doubles in this word. Non we've had. T is a weak monosyllable. Ti vale, vale. So now if you do the alternate lyrics to this, you would have Prɛndi with the singing N into the D, open E. Questo, questo. So all of these words like questo, quello, they're closed E's. Mio, we've had strale, one L, right? Not strale, strale. Now we have Aprimi, and then Aprimi is the real word, and then we add a mi to the end, so it's Aprimi. Notice how long that is, right? Aprimi. The more excited an Italian gets, the more we would do vowels. The more excited an American gets, the more we would do consonants, right? Aprimi. No. Aprimi. More vowel, the better. Il, pɛtto, so double T. So let's go over how on a hard consonant we do a doubling. Same thing, we go long vowel, we stop phonation, then we go up to the T and we don't say it, and then there's a space, right? Atto, then we say the T. Right? And the T, if you remember the voiced, unvoiced thing, if we said pɛtto, do, right? Do, to. It's just the point where it becomes not D anymore and it's T. Not pɛtto, right? And we're not doing 2 T's. We're not doing pɛtto. No. We're doing pɛtto. This is a very dangerous word because with the double T, it means breast, or soul, or heart, or anything that's in your chest, right? A very poetic word. With 1 T, it means fart. So you really want to double the T in this word, right? Pɛtto. Okay, we've already had A as a strong monosyllable. Notice that there's a double V, right? So double V and double B, they do not stop phonation, right? Vvedrai. See? Not much. It doesn't go A and stop as double T does, right? Vvedrai. We just hold the V in phonation a little bit. It's a lot more like double M and double N, right? Vvedrai. Notice that in the E at the end, I do and E, right? I don't do I. It doesn't rhyme with the English letter I, right? I, E. Vvedrai. I think I'm going towards Vvedrai. And then the E at the end is just a semi-vowel. Scritto. Scritto. That's the next word. Notice I take time to do it. Scritto. And again, we go up to the double T. We don't say the T, we make a space. So it's actually the space that makes the expression, not the force of the consonant. Right? So it's the space. And that's totally up to you. So here we have cɔre now, and it's the full version of the word, and we've had it already as cɔre, so we know it's an open E. Amarilli, we know how to do this. Here's the word for is. So, il mio. Notice that in Italian, we say every vowel we see, and we do not harmonize, right? So, think about all the vowels you have to cover. It's like going all the way around the world, right? I, E, O, right? So, il mio amore, right? All of those vowels, nothing harmonizes, right? So, Amarilli è il mio amore. You can practice that whole line, all of those vowels. Single consonants except for the L, right? Everything is a single consonant in that line. Okay, so let's go back. Let's read it again, line by line, and get this nice flow going. Amarilli mia bella, non credi del mio cor, dolce desio, d'esser tu l'amor mio? Credilo pur, e se timor t'assale, Dubitar non ti vale, or Prɛndi questo mio strale, Aprimi il petto e vedrai scritto il core. Amarilli è il mio amore. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe. Please feel free to comment, leave me suggestions or requests. And as always, don't forget to see your coach. And I will see you at the opera.